Greece, a unique land, a land of contrasts, so ancient and so modern, so traditional and so innovatory, a land so beautiful it seems like a fairy tale. Greece, the land of sun and tradition, a range of remarkable documentaries for you and your friends. Discover Greece with Loumidis Papagalos Greek coffee.
Πάρος.
Σέριφο.
Κύμολος.
Σήμη.
Τίνος.
Μέσα μας την κουβαλάμε την Ελλάδα. Στο καλό, ο Λουμίδης μαζί σας.
Τι να κάνουμε, αυτή νησιά, εσύ και εγώ εδώ.
Έκαστος στο είδος του.
Lesvos, the island of lyricism steeped in the silver of the olive trees and the green of the pines. Shaped like a leaf, it might have been plucked from a plane tree by the gods and tossed into the sea off the coast of Asia Minor. Lesvos is the third largest island in Greece, after Crete and Evia. This incomparable island has been given 4 different names over the centuries: Lassia, Imerti, Pelasgia, after its first inhabitants, the Pelasgians, and Lesvos, after the Phoenician word Espho, which means 7, as this is the 7th largest island in the Mediterranean. First stop, Mytilini. This is the capital of the island, built in the shape of an amphitheatre over 7 hills, which shelter its 2 harbours. It is a city with a centuries-old history. The northern side is dominated by the largest fortress on the island, built over ancient ruins in a green pine wood. It is the old warrior of Mytilini, gazing out over the Aegean Sea, proud of the history seen by these great walls. After being founded by the Byzantine Emperor Justinian, it was occupied by Genuatis Frankiskos Gatelousos. Once renovated, it was taken over by the Turks, who used it as an Ottoman seminary. Today, it serves as a cafe and meeting place. The island has become a center of attraction for the spiritual life of the island, and during the summer months, numerous respected cultural and artistic events take place there. On the trail of history, you're sure to find your way to Mytilini's Museum of Archaeology. This is an island whose past lives on in the present. The inhabitants have a great respect for their past and have brought together findings from all the ancient settlements of Lesvos in a collection in one of the old town mansions. The museum is filled with ceramics, coins, vases, and weapons from all the ages and civilizations of Lesvos, as well as prehistoric findings from the settlement at Thermis and antiquities from Mytilini and Antissa. The numerous small idols found at excavation sites on the island are magnificent. Even though these were not intended to be works of art, but were actually made for religious ceremonies, they are significant examples of ancient Greek art. Two of the museum's oldest exhibits are a copper mirror found in an ancient tomb in Mytilini and a magnificent wreath of solid gold olive leaves dating back to the 4th century. The many tools and household utensils show that daily life in ancient Lesvos was hard work, but it was also a life of comfortable self-sufficiency. This, in combination with the island's privileged position and its natural beauty, nurtured an environment of knowledge and art. An octagonal mosaic from the house of the ancient writer of comedies, Menandros, has been preserved. It's a piece of astonishing beauty, portraying Orpheus with his lyre. According to mythology, the head of the poet was washed ashore and then buried by the people of Lesvos, thereby establishing their island as the home of lyricism. Other mosaics portray scenes from the comedies of Menandros, as well as pictures of the daily life of the island and the richness of the sea. The outer courtyard is full of ancient pillars and tombstones, which stand witness to the greatness of the Roman and classical Greek eras. Preserved in the museum is a remarkable series of Lesbian inscriptions detailing deals made between the island and the cities of Asia Minor and Greece. The economy of Lesvos was based on agriculture and shipping, and through these, the island became very powerful. Its dominion extended to the coasts of Asia Minor, which became known as the shores of Mytilini. Two rare Aeolian-style column crowns from the temple of Clopedi, which was dedicated to Apollo, are testimony to the fact that Lesvos lived through all the great phases of ancient Greek civilization. At the far end of the harbour, overlooking the sea, stands the Statue of Liberty, which symbolizes a mother from Asia Minor staring at the lands. The memories of the Asia Minor catastrophe, the tragic fate of lost Hellenism, and the expulsion of the Greeks by the Turks will never be forgotten. the center of the old town of Mytilini, behind the narrow streets of the noisy market, stands the temple of Saint Theraponta. Its graceful dome, visible from the harbor, gives the impression that the town hangs suspended from beneath it. The style of the temple is mainly Byzantine, with Gothic influences. The dark colors of the Renaissance wall paintings create a suitably devout atmosphere. The temple is lightened by 38 large windows, situated high up on the walls. There is also an old crystal chandelier, beautifully decorated with the dance of the saints and prophets. On the right-hand side of the temple, guarded with particular honor, lie the remains of the Hungro-Vlachian bishop, Ignatios. This metropolitan bishop fought for and devoted himself to the revolution of 1821. The marble coffin, with its bas-relief decorations, is a symbol of gratitude for his great contribution to both church and state. Lesvos has carefully preserved in its museums everything relating to its past and its traditions. The most significant religious relics of the island are to be found in the Byzantine Museum, guardian of these rare treasures of orthodoxy. The museum was founded by the Bishop of Mytilini, Iakovos Kleomvrotos, to keep a set of remarkable Byzantine and post-Byzantine icons and valuable religious relics from being destroyed or stolen. The people of Lesvos have always felt it their duty to preserve anything Greek because of the island's proximity to Asia Minor and the constant threat of the Turks. History, language, art and religion have been protected over the centuries and handed down from generation to generation as treasured heritage. Religion has always played an important role in the life of Lesvos. The Apostle Paul preached on the beaches of the island, and his words and work inspired more than 30 local saints and martyrs. Flawlessly preserved, the icons illustrate the grandness of Byzantine art, while the details set off the suppleness of the faces. The most well-known of these were the saints Raphael, Nikolaos, and Irini. Their graves, discovered on the hill of Karies in 1959, where the monastery of the same name now stands, astounds the visitor, and their miraculous fame has spread even beyond Greece. The icon depicting the Assumption of the Virgin Mary, by Mytilini's greatest painter, Theophilos, hangs in the museum. Theophilos was a daydreamer who lived in a world of his own and created a unique style of painting. It is a style characterized by spontaneity, vividness, and a richness of color. His themes portray in a touching but often amusing way heroes, common folk, girls in love, and idyllic scenes. This is a style of painting full of subtlety, nobility, and the famous Greek light. The port is the heart of the island. a simple, quiet, hospitable heart. Tranquility reigns. It's a life without upheaval, as if left behind by time. Tourism is developing rapidly here, and the capital is growing and changing shape. Yet the people and their lifestyle here remain unchanged, preserving their traditional ways. In the narrow streets of the old neighborhood near the jetty, you will find yourself stopping to look back and admire the old mansions. Today, many of these are used as libraries, banks, theatres, and public services, such as the town hall. Impressive, well-preserved buildings with high windows, balconies with flowers, and wooden doors combine harmoniously to create images of rare aesthetic perfection. The inhabitants have tried not to change the local color of the town, and have implemented many elements of traditional architecture in the construction of modern buildings. In the center of the noisy town, in Surada and Kioski, lies a city untouched by time and progress. The real charm of Lesvos is, however, to be found mostly outside the capital. Traveling south, you will come to the Gulf of Iera, famous for its natural beauty and rich fishing. In Plomari, the visitor comes face to face with a fairy tale town. Picturesque houses and mansions spread over the hillside, facing open sea. Before the catastrophe in Asia Minor, Plomari had 10,000 inhabitants, oil presses, ouzo refineries, and soap factories. Today, with a population of 4,000, it is the biggest town on the island, and both tourism and commerce are thriving. The sea is the basic source of income for the village, and the inhabitants are experienced fishermen. Watching them at work with their fishing nets and equipment, you can almost feel the pleasure they take in the simple things of life, the daily routine, and the thought of what tomorrow might bring. The locals, quiet, friendly and hospitable, may well invite you in for a cup of coffee, and if you're lucky, you might get to taste Plomari's excellent ouzo and the famous sardines from the Bay of Caloni. Agiassos, the jewel of the island. Legend has it that Agiassos was created after the Virgin Mary had performed a miracle. And it is a real miracle that awaits the tourist. A village built in the foothills of Lesvos' own Mount Olympus, surrounded by trees and flowers. The focal point of Agiassos and the life of the inhabitants is the Church of the Virgin Mary. The marvelous icon of the Virgin Mary of Sion, painted by Luke the Evangelist, is kept here with particular honor. Its story begins about 1,000 years ago during the Icon War. Hidden by the monarch Agathona in a case beneath an exact replica, it was rediscovered later by Bishop Iakovos. The Museum of Religious Artifacts is situated in the forecourt of the church. A cross made of silver and wood from the crucifix, decorated with enamel and placed in a special case, is the most significant relic in the museum. Old icons, holy remains, Bibles and parchments decorate the shelves, while the Virgin Mary by Theophilos represents an excellent example of the great artist's work. If you come to Agiassos and don't walk along the flagstone streets with their stone houses and tiny shops, then you won't have seen the true face of the village. The abundance of fruit and vegetables is testimony to a fertile and wealthy land. Apples, walnuts, chestnuts and figs are among the delicious local produce. In its narrow streets, you're bound to hear music from the traditional dulcimer or santori. Pause a while and enjoy the melodious, nostalgic sound. Agiassos is the largest center of ceramics and wood carving in Lesvos. The patterns and decorations painted on the ceramics reflect the people's love of beauty. The tiny paintbrush demands a steady hand, and the choice of colors is carefully made. Despite the difficulties and unfavorable conditions of the past, Agiassos has managed to keep its folk culture alive by immortalizing it in wood carvings. This has always been one of the basic sources of income in the village. Entire families live off the carvings they make, and this art form has become both a way of life and expression for the experienced craftsman. The hammer and chisel work rhythmically on the wood, creating masterpieces of an art that has remained untouched by the passage of time. In the south of the island, at the Cape of St. Phocas, we find Vatera. It is one of the most important holiday resorts on Lesvos, as the magnificent sandy beach, 12 kilometers long, is one of the biggest in Greece. Sigri, a village unlike any other you've seen till now. The impressive volcanic landscape surrounding it gives it a sense of isolation. One might be forgiven for thinking that a holiday in Sigri would be quiet and peaceful. But appearances can be deceptive. This village is one of the busiest and most touristic places of the island. Clear seas, beautiful beaches, and lots of fresh fish will make your stay in Sigri unforgettable. The well-preserved Turkish castle is situated on the outskirts of the village. Its strategic position is enhanced by the huge stone walls, massive doors and arrow slits, and has made it the perfect fortress. The landscape of the petrified forest is quite astounding. In a deserted area covering 150,000 acres, reminiscent of the Wild West, the remains of fossilized plants still stand. According to research, this forest once stood in the northwest part of the island, approximately 20 million years ago. Most of the trees grew then in a tropical environment that was hot and humid, and are members of the sequoia species, which today grow only along the coasts of America. The upright trunks, with roots still intact, are proof that an ancient forest once flourished here. Then, during periods of high activity, the active volcanoes of Lesvos spewed out lava and ash, covering the vegetation of the area. The organic matter of the forest was slowly replaced by inorganic matter in the process of petrification. Nowhere else in the world are there so many petrified trees still standing. At this open-air museum of nature, the thick trunks and perfectly preserved bark of the trees are an impressive sight. Leaves, seeds and tree trunks are available for scientific evaluation. At the petrified forest of Lesvos is the center of scientific studies for Europe and the broader area. Looking down on Scala Sigaminas, the visitor can quite easily see how such a small village produced the great writer Stratis Myrivilis. The rich vegetation and the picturesque harbour with its numerous fishing boats are quite a sight. The small white church of the Virgin Mary of Gorgona, diving to the rock and gently lapped by the whispering waves, has proved an endless source of inspiration for the sensitive artist. Following the coast road, you can stop and admire the old stone mills of the island. It's said that the villages of Thermis once boasted 160 mills. Only a few remain today, as charming reminders of times past. Here you can enjoy the simple life, relaxing next to the never-ending sea. Life goes on as it always has, distanced from the modern trends of today and the intense commercial development of the rest of the area. Moria is one of the most traditional villages of the island. Its old houses and mansions are a delight. houses spread out over the hill, so wherever you stand, the Aegean Sea unfolds before you, and the silver-green sea of the olive and pine trees makes a relaxing backdrop. The narrow stone streets of the village lead you quickly and easily to the imposing ruins of the Roman aqueduct, which supplied water to the town of Mytilini during the 2nd century AD. The high arches are just a few of the remains of a great Roman era, with the intention of supplying water to the whole island. Today, the aqueduct of Moria is being restored by the government, and archaeologists are trying to protect the monument from the wear and tear of time. The quietest parts of Lesvos are to be found in Eftalou. This is the Aeolian land of the great writer Venezis, whose home still stands here. This is also where the spa is situated. Hot springs with healing properties are found all over the island. Some of these are the hottest in Europe, reaching a temperature of over 90 degrees Celsius. It's not the picturesque houses with their red tiled roofs, nor the flagstoned roads and well-tended gardens which surprise the traveller. It is the monastery of Agiassos, situated on the edge of the village, and the miraculous icon of the Archangel Gabriel, and the history which the monastery keeps locked within its high walls. Its history dates back to the 11th century AD, when the Saracen pirates were at the height of their glory. The Greek islands were easy prey for their wild piracy. They robbed, killed, and burned whole villages without resistance, until they reached the monastery of Agiassos. It was the well-organized defense of the monks that repelled the pirates from Lesvos. But the Saracens attacked repeatedly, and the once impregnable fortress finally fell. 18 monks were brutally slaughtered, and only young Gabriel escaped alive. He fashioned an icon out of clay and the blood of his comrades in a holy image of the Archangel. Hundreds of years later, the blood-colored icon of Agiassos remains untouched by the passage of time. The bloodied vestments of the monks and the remains of Gabriel are kept in a valuable shrine at the church. On another shelf nearby lie the sacerdotal sack and stole of the martyr, Patriarch Gregory V. Molyvos, the prettiest town in Lesvos. It's also the oldest, with the ancient name of Mythimna. Flagstone road snakes its way to the top of the rock, which is dominated by the Byzantine castle. The ancient story of Mythimna and its castle dates back millennia, and it is also considered to be the home of the guitar-playing singer Ariona. Genuatis Franciscos Gateluzos, charmed by the beauty of the castle, had it renovated in 1373. The Greek flag flies at the highest point of the island, and in the theatre, numerous cultural events take place. The castle of Molyvos has always been an inspiration and friend to artists of all kinds. Respected painters, poets, and writers like Theophilos, Eftaliotis, and Venezis have all been inspired by the castle's remoteness. From here you can see a large part of the island, and the blue horizons open before you, awaiting your dreams. An open book full of the beauty of the island. The village, rooted to the rock, is an impressive sight with its unusual architectural design. It has been designated a conservation area, and cars have been banned from inside the village. But night is falling. Even though our trip is over, you know that you will always be spellbound by the Aeolian land, the silver sea, and the beautiful sky of Lesvos.